Welcome to another session of Entrepreneur Hangout. And today we are back, discussions, interviews with real entrepreneurs. And the lady I have in the interview with me today is a good friend of mine, a lady that I have walked a long journey with, and she has a passion for helping, teaching, and building entrepreneurs. But not only that, she is an accomplished entrepreneur herself. She's built a number of businesses. She's broken a few businesses. She has learned some amazing lessons. And the one thing that I love about her is that she uses her businesses to add value to other people in the world. And you know, one of her businesses right now is a business involved all around women's sanitary pads, and the building of that business to be able to supply a much needed product for many young ladies, especially in Africa, that do not have access to them. And so I am very excited to have my good friend, entrepreneur, and you know, just I call her the queen, and she'll expand on that a little bit more. But Matefo Morakeng, welcome to Entrepreneur Hangout. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. That's actually a quite nice introduction there, very much appreciated. And I'm actually honored to be on the Hangout with you. Basically, I'm just a young girl. I'm still young, even though my 40-something birthday is coming up tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm just a young girl who just has had big dreams. And more than anything, I think I have valued in my independence, and in valuing my independence, corporate didn't work for me because corporate, I just felt it stifles me as a human being, and I wanted to do things that requires me to be flexible, because I'm flexible. When I see something, I want to do it, I want to try it. So in corporate, you don't operate like that. So because of that kind of character, then it definitely wasn't working for me. Hence, I then branched into entrepreneurship, which interestingly has actually been quite a journey. I've been close to 10 years into it, and getting 10 years into it hasn't actually been all rosy. Because because you can imagine around 2009, when I started, really there were really not a lot of people that were in entrepreneurship that one could learn from. So it was just a question of learning as you go, and because of that, I tended to make a lot of mistakes. And because there were mistakes, then there were mistakes that I would think, oh my goodness, is the end of the world. But looking back, actually now where I'm at, I realize, you know what? Those mistakes actually were preparing me for this journey now. But at the time, it wasn't like that. And another thing that actually was interesting was the fact that starting out, I was doing like anything and everything just to put the, bread on the table, without really knowing exactly where I wanted to be. And as I was maneuvering my way into entrepreneurship, I actually got to learn more about myself, and also what actually appeals to me, what I'm passionate about. And then I actually understood, truly understood when they say, do something that you're passionate about, because when you're passionate about it, it will never feel like work. And I tell you, now working with young entrepreneurs, working with girls in the sanitary pads business, it actually doesn't feel like work, because every time I wake up, I'm like, okay, fine. How many girls do we have to reach out to? How many girls do we have to have our product? Because I want to make an impact. I want them to be able to actually have a better life, because of the understanding of the situation that they come from. But the only problem is, when you are sort of like what they call solopreneurs, is the thing that when you get into one sphere, you tend to actually desert the other one a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, and which actually has been quite interesting because, as you know, I work a lot with young entrepreneurs. And since I left that part, I think from my side, what I didn't do was I knew I was going to leave that side for a while. But I didn't tell them that, you know what, I'm leaving you for a while. I'm going to start something new. Once that is settled, then I'll come back to you again. So now, you know, I left them in a limbo and they kept saying, but where are you? Where are the conferences? Where are the sessions that we used to do? So for me, it's one of the things that I've actually come to understand. Say, you know what, I left them behind and I didn't tell them where we were going or what's going to happen. So yeah. So basically.
So I love what you say. You started off focused doing a whole lot of things to make money. And in your journey over the last decade, you've refined it to do the things that really make sense and drive your passion. And your business today is really, really focused on making a difference, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you see, the thing is, at the end of the day, I realized that even for me, in working with young entrepreneurs, I also had to have my own story that was compelling enough to say, look at this person.
Yeah.
This person has actually been able to do. So for me to be able to do that, I had to look at other things that I could do that are impactful, in order that when I come back to them to say, you know what, we started this journey, this is where I was at, and this is where I'm at now, then they understand what it's about. Because also I think what was happening when I actually decided to sort of like put that side on hold for a bit was, you know, when you are an impact-oriented person, when you don't see that or when you don't feel it, you look elsewhere. Because at some point I was like, there has to be more to this than what is happening now. So for me to actually be, because I think for a good 6 years I was doing it, and I was like, okay, I think for me to actually be able to get back to it again and feel it again, I have to actually shift my focus a bit. And if when I'm there, I still feel it, then I'll come back to it again. So for me, which is that flexibility I was talking about, to say, you know, what I like about entrepreneurship is you are able to be flexible enough to actually try other things and see what works, see what doesn't work, and then move on. Because what is happening now is, because that was a service, and now with girls and sanitary pads, it's service and product. Okay. I am able to now measure everything to be able to actually, everything to feed on to the other. So I'm actually quite excited, because indeed the plan it still is, despite Corona. To say in 2021, the plan was to now go back to working with young entrepreneurs again, because we still interact. We still have WhatsApp groups where we give advice and all that. But for me, I'm like, I have a vehicle now that is able, because when you do that, the type of work that one does, there has to be a source for funding. And one thing that I really, I think I am not good at, or I do not like, is always begging. And this type of begging, I call it sponsorship. Because whether we like it or not, we are begging.
Yeah.
And, you know, that type of begging, if they do not see what you see, they don't give you money. So for me, I also had to have something that wouldn't actually need me to be dependent on that type of begging. So exactly.
How many entrepreneurs, and I think, I don't think it's only particular to Africa, but I do see it in South Africa, and I do see it around, how many entrepreneurs in South Africa and Africa fall into that trap of sponsorship? Hey, I've got a business, but I need money from you to run my business. And that essentially is not really a business, is it? Like you say, it becomes begging. We have this sort of realm of, I run a business. The real aspect of a business is to be able to generate income through sales.
Exactly. And you see, the thing is, you do that, and that's not even sustainable.
Yeah.
Because, say, for instance, if I was still doing that now, we have Corona. Nobody's interested in that now. Everybody has to change. What would have happened to me now? I would be depressed instead of seeing opportunities. But now, because I have a physical product that actually by luck, by opportunity, or being at the right place at the right time at the right moment, now I have a product that is required now. So you see, because I have this, that is why I'm saying I don't even feel the stress, the panic, the anxiety, because I look at it and I'm like, my product is actually right for this moment. So I'm not going to let this moment slip away. And then when people, our lives get back to normal, I'll say, oh, but I should have done this, I should have done that. So it's just been a question of, you know what, this moment I have to make sure that I actually also, from the business side of it, take advantage of it.
Very good. So you, a lot of people are sitting around waiting. You haven't sat around waited, have you? So
No.
give us some perspective around the difference between, because working with young entrepreneurs, you and I have spoken about it before. You see a lot of that. People waiting. I have a business. I've registered a business. No, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm waiting for a customer. Or I'm waiting for someone to help me, or I'm waiting for support. You do not believe in that. You're an action-oriented lady, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the most interesting thing is, even now when people say to me, I want to start a business, I always tell them, do not go and register it, because that's not a business. That's paperwork that's going to get you into trouble. Start whatever it is that you want to start, and then the minute it goes, then you start doing it, which is one of the mistakes or the lessons that I've learned to say. I started by registering everything because I thought by registering, then I have a business. But no, I didn't have a business. I had papers.
So,
Yeah, papers.
It's funny you say that, because people say to me, I have a business. I go, good. And, well, it's registered. I go, last time I walked up to my frame on my wall that has my certificate, no money came out of that.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, that is actually absolutely so true. And the most important thing also is the fact that I think this one actually is my Bible. I swear by it, because I always say, I have a coach who will tell me that yes, you can sell, but as long as the money is not in the bank, you haven't sold anything. So all the time I do that, which is why, because the principles that I learned, especially from you as a sales coach, was, you know what, this is what sales is all about. And people do not understand, because for the past 2 years, with my product now being what it is, I actually would literally go out to customers, go to markets, so that I go and sell my product there, because I knew it wasn't ready for retail to be on the shelves, but I wanted to test it with the market. I would literally go to flea markets, go and sell it, ask people, please buy my product, and get their reaction, get their feedback, so that when I now formally take it to the market, I know exactly what is there. I understand my market, and I also understand my product and what my customers want, which actually I find that most people don't understand that you have to take a time to actually go through that. And I took 2 years, Barry, 2 years doing that, because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I have to make sure that I do it right. Otherwise, I don't do it at all.
I think you make such a good point there. I want you to say that again. How many years?
2 years.
Okay, good. So, because do you not find that a lot of people think, oh, I started a business, tomorrow I'm going to make money?
Yeah. That's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens. They don't realize that you have to start, understand the market, understand what your customers want, understand the environment, understand your product, and more than anything, understand how retail works, especially if you want to go into retail. Understand how retail works, because just because you have this fabulous product that people that you meet with say they like, does not mean when you go to a retail store and you pitch it, they will say, yay, fabulous, you have a winning formula. No. Understand that where you're at, because now with sanitary pads, I'm a small business, but I have to compete. The minute I go to the shelf, I have to compete with the big multinationals. So the time, it's a question of pacing myself to say, okay, fine, where am I at? What am I ready for? Can I handle this? Can I handle that? So for me, it's because this is a journey. It's not a sprint, because that's another thing that you actually fail to understand when you get into entrepreneurship, or when we start calling ourselves entrepreneurs, to say, this is a journey. You are not rushing to the end. And each and every step, you always have to refine, retune, see what works, see what doesn't work, change this, change that. It's all part of it. Which is why at that time, when you get to that level, you understand, you know what, now I understand why companies will have a department for this, a department for that. But until you get to that stage, unfortunately, as a solo entrepreneur, you have to do everything by yourself. But, which also helps very, you know why? Because the minute you understand how things work in your business, nobody will come and lie to you.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens. Like, for instance, I've had people who want to go and do distribution for me, or who want to do distributions or direct sales, or even who get into my programs of impact makers. Because when you're an impact maker, you have to make sure that you go out and sell the product. Otherwise, how are you going to make an impact? So when I see they're not able to do it, I tell them that, guys, it doesn't work like that. What you are doing, I am doing, and I can tell you why you're not getting it right. You go there, you go to a flea market, you sit around, you wait for people to come to you. Nobody will come to you. Call people to your store. Tell them what you are doing. Tell them what your product is about. Sell it to them, then they will understand. And the most interesting thing is, because the way I have modeled it is more speaking to people's heart than speaking to people's head. If it's not in you, you will not be able to sell as even a single sanitary pack to anybody.
And it goes beyond image, because it goes beyond all those things. Because people think if I stand around, look smart, people are going to come to me, because look, that is not the game, is it?
It's definitely not about that, which is why our pair of line is, we're beyond beautiful. So it means we do not listen, beauty is the last thing on my mind. What we have on my mind is impact. To say, okay, fine, how do I define impact? How many girls do I want to reach? And what does that pack say when a girl child has it? Because at the end of the day, in as much as it's a product, it's a pack that they will have, but is what does it say to them? Because at the end of the day, I want that pack to say to a girl child, I'm worth it. And because the minute a girl child can say, I'm worth it, they are able to actually reach for even higher horizons. Because as you know, situations and issues that we are facing nowadays with women and stuff. So for us, it's about that, to say, you know what, we want this. You know, when you look at either a pack of this, or when you see this brand, you as a girl child or as a woman, you'll be able to say, you know what, because of this brand, I was able to, you know, get my dignity back. Because if I can say, you know, the issue of lack of sanitary pads is amazingly depressing, because a lot of people, because of lack of money, because of poverty, they definitely cannot afford. Yeah. And it's like, you know, sometimes it's like, it's crazy when you say people can't afford even 10 rand, but it is so true. And things that they have to go through in order to be able to afford that are incredible. So for us, it's just a question to say, if we can be able to put that pack in a girl's child, then we would have done our work.
So when you speak, and those of you watching this, can you see the passion that comes up with Matefo? And that is the difference, Matefo, between driving your business based on mission and based on money. And
absolutely.
Would you agree that when you get the mission right, the money starts coming?
I tell you, it is absolutely correct. And the most interesting thing is, I was actually thinking about this yesterday, to say, I did trial for my product for 2 years. And I knew that the first 6 months from last year, that's how I had planned it. I knew that the first 6 months, then I was going to be working on now repackaging it, because when I was doing the trial, I was using stickers. I would just put stickers on the packaging. And I knew that the first 6 months of the year, which is 2020, I was going to be working on now packaging it properly. Of course, there were delays here and there. But what happens is, as I was busy doing that, I was also working on other things to say, just because I'm now perfecting my product does not mean every other thing has to die. I still had to make sure that I still put my brand out there and what it symbolizes. And I decided I was going to be patient with the process, because that's another thing. We lack patience, as they say. So I told myself, I'm going to be patient with the process, because if I'm patient with the process, things will work out. And I must say, very just last month, which was May, that's when we were done with the proper packaging. And for me, it has been amazing how people are receiving it, because even before the final product came, there were some people who would want to buy, and I would tell them that the product is not here yet, and they will say, no, we will wait. And for me, I really appreciated that so much, because it showed that people really believed in what I was doing. So every time, I post something on social media, or I get a call of somebody that wants to buy a product to say, where can we get it? And all that, I get so humbled, because I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't fool myself and think this is just miraculously happening. I worked at it for 2 years. Where I sacrificed a lot so that at least I can get this right. Because, when I got into it, I told myself that if anything, I know how it was when I started other businesses like your employee marketing, where we're doing events and stuff. But when I start Better Legacy, I want to do it right. And which is why I told myself I take each and everything, every single step of the way. I am patient with the process, because I realize that I am not in a sprint to get to the finish line. There is no finish line, especially when you are building something greater.
So when I hear you speak, I wrote down 3 words: patience, passion, perseverance.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Those 3 things as an entrepreneur, they definitely will take you a long way. Trust me, I have seen it, and I believe it.
And it's an area that many entrepreneurs lack, don't they? First of all, they lack patience, because we have this mentality in this world. I mean, you must see it with young entrepreneurs. I see it with young entrepreneurs in South Africa. It's instant gratification. I started a business. Look at Barry. Barry's got money. I should have money, because so lack patience. Passion. When the money doesn't come in, suddenly people don't have passion for that amazing business that they had. And perseverance. You got to be strong, don't you? It takes guts, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, it really does. And you know what? When you're passionate and you know exactly what you're doing, it really it's not difficult to persevere, because nobody will actually even come and tell you otherwise, because you know exactly what you're doing, you know where you are going. I'll tell you a story. Just yesterday, when I was delivering some boxes for one client, then we were in a conversation. The short story of it is, then the question was, why don't you supply government with your sanitary pads? And I said, government is not my market. For me, what matters is a peg in the hands of God. But if you want to go and supply government, I can supply you to go to them, because that is, for me, that is not my route. Yeah, it's a lot of other people's route. That is not my route. For me, I know where my goals are, and that is where I will go. So for me, when you say that, it's like you're like, oh, but it's like you're doing well, and others. I say, no, I'm not doing well, but I know what I'm doing, and I know how to get there.
That's what happens when, when I go back to that word that you said just now, mission. That's what happens when you're clear on your mission, aren't you? It's no longer about the money. It's, I know where my product needs to go. I know on my mission. Those of you watching and listening to this, it's such a key thing that so many entrepreneurs miss out on. But mission is essential, isn't it? And people just forego it for money, and then suddenly that government deal doesn't come through anymore, and now there's no money, and there's actually nothing left of the business.
Exactly, because you can't have government business that is dependent on government when there are when there are customers out there.
Yeah.
So of course, if it comes, of course I'll take it. But I'm not gonna go chasing it when I can go and chase the girls and see how I can actually get the product to that.
So yeah, this piece that you're talking about is yeah. I was listening to a piece by John Maxwell a couple of weeks ago, right at the beginning of this crisis time that we're in at the moment, or meant to be in. I don't know, but and John Maxwell said this. He said there's two types of people that come out of a crisis. There's the people that succumb to distraction, and there's the people that create traction. And the people that create traction are the people that know where they're going, why they do what they do, and how they do what they do. They have a very clear mission. So you started off, and you before the interview and at the beginning of the interview, you said to me, through this period of crisis, I've still achieved great results. And I'm going to hazard a guess, that is because you have a very clear mission, which allows you to get a lot of traction, because you're not distracted.
Exactly. And I told myself that I'm not going to be distracted by Corona. I remember before it came, I would actually talk a lot about it, post, on Facebook, talk. And then at some point I was like, cut it. You're no longer going to talk about that. It is here. We know, we live with it. So move on. Because what I realized was the fact that because it affects people mentally, I would fall into that trap of thinking I actually have COVID-19 era issues when I don't, because now I am calling them to me because I'm focusing on them. So I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. And in place for that, I had to do something. That is why I was telling you that then I started with my exercising and all that. So all that actually doing quite wonders for me, because whenever I would feel overwhelmed, then I would just start doing my exercise. I'll just listen to music and dance, and it was just amazing. And another thing that actually I have actually been doing a lot was I would actually listen to gospel music. I would listen to gospel music, and because I found that in that I really found vibe, because I was like, I can either listen to like a hip hop, your kwaito, or whatever, but it doesn't do anything for me. So rather than let me, like regularly listen to gospel music and I dance to it, and it actually has been quite an amazing thing to experience. So much so that even now I was like, YouTube actually has a lot of videos about the Bible and all that. And I tell you now, I'm into that. Every time when I go, I have my special time. At night, I download the videos, and when I go to bath myself, then I'll just take my iPad and I put it in the bathroom. As I'm busy bathing, then I'm watching movies, and it's actually a nice routine now that I actually really enjoy, because at the end of that hour, then I have learned something new. Some of the movies I even repeat to say, "Oh, did that really happen?"
So I think that's some great advice, because it's you need those deliberate actions every day to recharge your spirit, to recharge your mind, to recharge your being, don't you? And that's part of the tools that allow us to persevere. So
that's true. That is so true.
So in finishing off, I hear a lot of people say, it's unfair and people won't support me and this won't happen. And I just want to make this statement out, and I'd like you to give me some comment, because I know you have a lot of experience in this realm. It's unfair and it's also fair, but the deal is there's a game that has to be played, and you have to learn how to play the game the way that it needs to be played. Whether you think it's right or wrong, when you go into retail, for example, you said going to retail, and you think your product's great and your product is great, but you can't get it on the shelf because you're competing. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, feel sorry for me because of this." You've got to learn how to play the game, don't you? And the game is the game of business. It's not the game of anything else. Do people not get lost in all the other nonsense without focusing on the business?
That is so true. And I think for me, this has helped. I'll tell you what has helped, because it's one of the things that I actually took from you to say, you know what? There are a lot of customers out there. Just because you have something to sell does not mean everybody wants to buy. So even if I go to a retail store, this one doesn't like, I say, oh, okay, I learn from there and then go to the next one. And the next one, and the next one, until somebody else gets it, because just because it's there, hey, it's yours. You are the one that's passionate about it. It's a question of to what extent are you willing to take your passion? And to what extent are you willing to persevere until you get it? Hence, I said, one of the things is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and the journey is long. You have to be patient and trust the process.
Matefo, it has been wonderful spending this time with you. Before we close off, what's your brand?
My brand is Dear Bella Sanitary Pad.
Let's see your brand. Come on, I can see it's there.
Yes. Here it is.
Dear Bella.
Hey, yes.
And how can members of Hangout get in touch with you? What's your website address?
They can go to www.dearbella.co.za, or Facebook page, which is Dear Bella, or they can get to our Instagram page, which is Dear_Bella_sanitary_pest.
So remember this, Dear Bella, www.dearbella.co.za. Look out for Matefo. She's got an amazingly good cause through her business, helping young ladies. And Matefo, some real words of wisdom: patience, passion, perseverance. Any last words before we finish off?
I know we're going through a difficult time with COVID. Hang in there. Stick to what you know best. If you need to change, and make sure that change is quickly. If it doesn't work, dish it, move on to the next thing.
Matefo, wonderful spending time with you. Once again, those of you on Entrepreneur Hangout, awesome being with you. Until the next time we hang out, be blessed, get out there, push your business. Remember, be patient, have passion, find a mission, and persevere. Chat to you soon.